Right, folks, we are back with another football video. As you can see, Kieran isn't with us this week, but he should be back next week. So we'll have to make it me and you, Martin, tonight. We'll get right into it, Louis.
Yeah, what we're going to do tonight? Should we go for two each tonight?
Two each sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll start anyway. My first team, Martin, is going to be Doncaster. I firmly believe Doncaster are going to win League One. They do need to beat Sunderland this weekend, however. They are a big price of 13-5, but they have signed Scott Robertson on loan from Celtic. He was with Gillingham for the first half of the season, and he does look a very, very good player. They've also extended the loan of Josh Sims from Southampton, so that's another bonus for them. They did lose to Fleetwood last time, but Sunderland also lost to Shrewsbury. I'm going to go with Doncaster here purely on the basis that I do believe they're going to win League One and they're a massive price, and I think Sunderland are hitting a bit of a blank spot now at the minute.
I think you're absolutely right. Sunderland are fantastic away, and they do struggle at home. They've also recently lost to Plymouth at home as well.
Yeah.
And Doncaster, they were second at one point in the league on Tuesday night when they were beating Fleetwood late in the game. They were winning 1-0 and they ended up losing 3-1, I believe, against Fleetwood there. Bit of a surprise, to be honest with you. I thought they'd probably win that game. That league is a little bit funny because you've got Lincoln, Hull, Doncaster, Peterborough and Portsmouth. And at some point over the last 2 months, each side looked like they were going to be the side that were going to kick on and like run away with this league, and it just hasn't happened. I'm another fan of Doncaster. I thought they were going to kick on and go for it, and then again they lost to Fleetwood. It wouldn't surprise me to see them go to Sunderland and win. So yeah, and nice price too. Nice price.
Yeah, very nice price. Like you said there, but they do have 2 games in hand on the leaders of League One, so I think that's got to play into it as well. I think they're about 5-1 to win the league, so it's not too bad of a price, but at the same time, you probably would want a little bit higher, but the 2 games in hand, the bookies are probably protecting themselves a bit.
Yeah, if they were a little bit bigger, you could probably go a little bit each way as well. You could probably take them top 3, and then you're probably more certain. Definitely, they're one of those sides in the mix. Again, we talked last week about Carlisle and all the games in hand and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. For Doncaster, probably a good thing because they are close and they're hitting form and they're getting games in. Whereas you look at Carlisle, again, the game in the week was abandoned or postponed. The game at the weekend was postponed. So again, they've got more and more games piling up, whereas at least Doncaster played. They got beat, but they did play. And I think teams need to be playing right now. And teams that are not playing are going to struggle when they come back and need to play 3 games in a week. So, yeah, absolutely. So Doncaster definitely to beat Sunderland. And yeah, as you say, probably one of the more certain sides to go up, maybe from League One there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll move on to my second team then. I'm going to go with Salford. Salford destroyed league leaders Cambridge last weekend. They won 4-1. And again, I think it should be another fairly easy win against Bradford. I can't get over Salford's price here. They're 29-20 to beat Bradford, who are sitting in 20th place. And I really can't get over that. I think Salford are just hitting top form now at the minute, and they're going to make a late charge for promotion.
Again, you look at Salford. Did you know when Richie Wellens took over at Salford, his first win, he lost to Bolton on the first game in charge. His first win was to beat Bradford 3-0 obviously at home. So a little bit of form there. They for me, I class them as a roulette club at the moment. They'll win one week, they'll draw the next week, and then they'll lose the next week, and then they'll draw a couple, and so on and so forth. Fantastic result against Cambridge the other day. I was surprised, as you know, because I thought Cambridge were going to probably win that game. And again, you've got another side, much in the same sort of position as Doncaster, really, where they're pushing through. They're just outside them top 3 places, but again, a little bit of a run and some good form through February and March could certainly see them getting up there and being in them top 3 and getting promoted. I don't know the price for Salford to win the league, and I don't think they will win the league personally. I think there's too many other clubs that are around there, but they're certainly in around that top 6 or top 7 it is in that league to certainly at least make the playoffs. But my only concern is this roulette system that they seem to be working with, where you never know what they're going to do from week to week. But as you say, Bradford away, they beat them 3-0 at home. You'd expect them to go there and win on Saturday, certainly.
Yeah, 100%. Sure, we'll go straight into your teams then. What team have you gone for?
So here we go. So my first selection is Burton to beat Northampton. Burton are bottom of League One. Northampton are a couple of places above them. Northampton actually drew with my 1 to 100 pick last week. Accrington, they drew 0-0. Northampton sacked Keith Curle this week, so they're managerless. You can see that. Some people see that as a good thing, and teams come out and win the following day. I don't think Northampton are that sort of team. They've lost the manager. They lost the assistant manager. They've scored one goal this calendar year. All right. So since the start of the year, they've scored one goal, and that was in a defeat away at Lincoln. So here we have a team struggling for goals, and they haven't won since they beat Fleetwood on the 1st of December. Okay, so they haven't won for 2.5 months, and they've only scored one goal this year. But they've drawn 0-0 with Sunderland, Accrington, and Fleetwood. All right, in that time. So if you look at the negatives for Northampton, there's all your negatives. If you want to look at the positives for Burton, they reappointed Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank on the 1st of January. Now, I always think a manager going back to manage a club the second time around is never a good idea. We'll see whether or not this kind of works out for him. He's brought in 9 players since he's rejoined the club. So he's effectively changed the entire team that he's got. So he's basically got loads of new blood. So the team that he's got now is not the team that was here before Christmas. In January, they lost to Oxford 5-1 in their first game with Jimmy in charge. But then they've beaten Gillingham 1-0. They've lost at home to Ipswich 1-0. So they're not conceding a lot of goals. They're obviously not scoring many goals, but they're not conceding a lot of goals. And whether Jimmy can work that miracle and get them out of trouble, as in not get relegated, I'm not sure that's possible. However, at 9-5 for a team to beat a team that hasn't scored one goal this year, yeah, for me, that's where I'm looking this weekend. It's very easy to come on this podcast, to be fair, and pick some short price favourite that will probably win. I think what I'm trying to do is find a little bit of value and give you some reasons why that's the case. And I just near at 2-1 for a team to beat a team that hasn't scored a goal since January is a great price. So there you have it. So that's my first one.
Yeah, and Burton have won 2 of their last 10, but it's 2 of their last 5 as well. So they've 2 wins in their last 5 games. But that's obviously with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank coming in and changing that whole team around to beat Hull and Gillingham. So 2 fairly good teams, in fairness to them. Whereas Northampton have just won 1 of their last 10 games. So it's something definitely to be looking at there. I think you have found a bit of value though.
And again, it goes back to your Doncaster pick earlier. And you look at teams at the top losing, like Doncaster lost to Fleetwood when they could have gone second in the league. Hull lost to Burton when they could have gone top. You know, they could have gone top of the league. For whatever reason, teams don't seem to want to be top of this league at the moment. So that's just the way it is. But yeah, a little bit of value there, a bit of action down the bottom end of the table. Both teams fighting for their lives. I just feel Burton will be more organised than a Northampton side with no manager. Again, that's another way that you could look at it. The other team I've got is also in League One, and it's a team that is going particularly well at the moment. It is a little bit short, to be fair, but it's Oxford to beat Wigan, and Oxford they're about 1-2 to beat Wigan. They've only lost once this year, and that was against Doncaster, as it goes. Wigan, the only team Wigan have beaten is Northampton, funnily enough, which again, as we just said, is no great form line. So if you go back to December, I think Wigan picked up 11 points in 5 games in December. They've picked 2 points up in January from 3 games, and they've had 1 win and 2 defeats this month. So they're not a great side. Whereas Oxford are absolutely on fire. I think they've only lost 1 in I don't know, this year maybe. They are flying through the league. They're also a pick that I picked a while ago to be in the top 6 at the end of the season, and they're a little way off that yet. But again, with everyone else seems to be dropping points here and there, it's one to go and have a look at if you fancy looking at the end of season markets. Oxford to finish top 6, probably getting around maybe 5-2 if you're really lucky, maybe a little bit shorter now. But yeah, so Oxford definitely to beat Wigan at the weekend.
Yeah, Oxford have built a fantastic team. They've won 10 of their last 11 matches, which is incredible, really. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said there. I really do think you could be on something special here.
I think there's also a profile between, if you look at the way Oxford were dreadful at the start of the season. They struggled for whatever reason. I haven't looked back. I don't know why it was the reason, but they really struggled. And you look in League Two and you look at Tranmere, which I talked about last week, exactly the same profile. Really, really struggled at the start of the season and have kicked on. And both sides could end up in the playoffs. Hopefully, Tranmere a little bit higher, but yeah, we could be looking at some good prices at the end of the season.
Yeah, the likes of Oxford, they're picking up 30 points in their last 33 out of 33, and they're not up there at the very top. Is just really shows you how badly they started this season too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But you look. I think again this week was probably one. I think we had Hull drew with Lincoln, which you'd probably expect in the week. Peterborough won. Portsmouth won. Doncaster got beat, and Sunderland. Did they win? Can't remember.
Sunderland got beat.
But every single week, these top 6 sides are losing. Yeah, one of them's losing. You look at Accrington. Accrington, they beat Bristol Rovers 6-1, and then they drew 0-0, and then they got beat by Plymouth in the week. So again, you look like they might kick on and do something, and they've got games in hand, and it's all a bit of a mess in that league. Nobody seems to want to take grip of that league and kick on, which may let someone like Oxford come through and get a place in those playoffs at least. I can't see them getting any higher than the playoffs, so I wouldn't be looking at that market. But I would be looking at that top 6 market potentially for somebody from the outside rather than looking at the teams that are in there already. By the way, guys, If you're having a bet, make sure you bet safe and be gamble aware and all the other bits and pieces that are really important.
Yeah, 100%. Martin, couldn't agree more with that. That was well said. We'll move on to the value of the week, I suppose. My value this week, I'm going again with Salford here, but I'm going for an anytime goal scorer in the form of Richie Tell. He is back from a long spell on the sidelines. He's had an awful time. He's out of contract this summer, and he's been linked with a return back to Dundalk, which good news for me, I suppose. Yeah. But he rifled one home there against Cambridge. It was an absolute fantastic goal. And to be honest, I can see him do it again. When he was with Dundalk, he was top scorer. He scored 29 goals in his last season from midfield. So he's lethal in front of goal, absolutely lethal. And I can see him doing it again with Salford because I think they're now playing in a way that suits him. And he's gonna slot in. He's gonna find them gaps, and he knows where the net is pretty much. And he is 16-5 to score any time, which is huge.
Yeah, no, No, I understand where you're going with that. You know, we all have our players that we like to follow when they leave our clubs and go elsewhere, and then we pray that they always come back to where they from where they left, and hopefully he comes back to Ireland and scores loads of goals for you. He seems to be the sort of guy that hits a bit of form, and when he's in form, he's scoring lots of goals, and hopefully. Having scored in the week, it gives him a bit more confidence, and he'll go out and he'll have a few more shots at the weekend, and one of them's going to ping the back of the net, and we're going to get paid out of that handsome 16 to 5. I think I had a look. I think it was about 12 to 1 to score the first goal, which I'm not here to recommend scoring the first goal because that's kind of a bit more of a lottery. But yeah, absolutely.
The way he plays, though, he's so skillful, I suppose. When he's only back from injury, he's back, I think, 3 games now or 2 games. But you know, when he hits that stride, he is ridiculous. He's so good on the ball, and he's just an incredible athlete.
Fantastic. Interesting enough, my outside pick is also a goal scorer, and I've actually gone for him to score first because he is actually a centre forward. So it's kind of why I've gone this way, and it's Luke Jeffcott at Plymouth. It was pointed out to me earlier on this evening, actually, that he was the fans' player of the month for the last 2 months, which is obviously good for him. Obviously, it depends how many fans are voting, of course, and all the rest of it. But he's been the fans' player of the month for the last 2 months. He's scoring for fun at the moment. He's leading scorer in League One as it goes, and you can back him at 5-2 to be top scorer for the season, which seems like a reasonable price, given Plymouth. They kind of started well, and then they went 6 games. They lost 6 games in a row, and then since then they've come back. I think they've won. They hadn't won away from home, and then they won away at Sunderland. I'm going to get told off because I've forgotten the away game that they won. But they won away at Swindon. They've won away at Accrington. They've drawn 2 each at home with Accrington. They drew 2 each away at Portsmouth as well. So they've had some cracking results. They're scoring for fun at the moment. He's 4-1 to score first against Fleetwood at the weekend. And you know, I said before you wouldn't pick your boy to score first potentially at 12-1 because it's quite a big price, and you know, he's a midfielder and all the rest of it. With Luke Jeffcott, I would go with him to score the first goal. I would take the 4-1 against Fleetwood at the weekend. And I would also probably do a little bit more research into that 5-2. I haven't had time to quite look at it all yet, but maybe that 5-2 to be the top scorer. There is a little bit of value there. We'll look at the other people in the market, and perhaps we'll come back next week and give you an update on that one.
Yeah, well, he's certainly hit the ground running anyway. 16 goals this season in League One. For a team like Plymouth is incredible, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
He knows what that is.
You watch out next season. Plymouth will be pushing playoffs promotion, hopefully. So again, start the season, check those prices, and see what's going on because you might get some good value there.
Yeah, definitely. They're a team that's building and a team that's on the up for sure.
Yeah. And also, incidentally, with Plymouth also, they've just re-signed their manager for the next 3 years, which if you follow Premiership managed football clubs and all the rest of it, you probably don't appreciate in the lower leagues. It's year on year. Yeah. They're re-signing players, they're re-signing managers. People are basically on 1-year contracts, so nobody's got any money to support anything for longer than that. Plymouth have re-signed the manager for 3 years, so they think they've got stability. They've started to sign players for money, which has been a problem because they haven't had any money. Plymouth are starting to build again, so they hopefully be one of the clubs next season and in the coming seasons to be kicking on a little bit more once we're out of this COVID stuff.
Yeah, as a League of Ireland fan, I know all about 1-year contracts anyway, because that's pretty much all you get over here. It's sometimes 9-month or 10-month contracts. So for a player to be offered a 2 or 3 year contract, or a manager to be offered it, it's huge. So it's great to see for lower league teams like that. We move on anyway, Martin. The past week has thrown out some likely wins and some unfavourable ones too. Like last night, Spurs out of the FA Cup in what can only be described as a thriller, really. A 5-4 loss. Well, a win for Everton. It's not good news for either of us.
No, absolutely not. As a Spurs fan, obviously it wasn't a great day. I don't know what I can take from the game. I can't really take much from the game, to be honest with you. Very disappointed. Thought we were going to get something from the game, to be fair. Um, and again, from a betting point of view, every time we got back to level with Everton, we were always favourites to win the game. Always favourites to win the game. So the bookies expected us to kick on and go and win the game. We didn't. We got beaten extra time. Fair and square. You can't argue with it too much. It was very, very disappointing, to be totally honest. However, there's two other cups to be focused on. The league's out of reach. Man City are now 1-16 to win the Premiership, so the Premiership's probably gone. But we've still got that Europa League and still in the final of the League Cup in April there. So we'll see what happens. I think.
Yeah, they're
Obviously yeah, we got Man City in that cup final. I think Man City are about 8-1, 10-1 to do the quadruple. Obviously, the Premiership's probably wrapped up already. As we're recording this now, I believe the draw for the quarterfinal of the FA Cup's going on. So I don't know what the draw's going to be. I don't know which way Man City are going to get drawn. They're obviously in the final of this cup, and obviously they're through to the next stages of the Champions League, which seems to be their golden egg, if you like. That's the thing they're trying to win. So maybe 10-1, 8-1 is a fair price to do that quadruple. I still think it's a difficult thing to do. It's not something I would personally back, but it's something of interest to keep an eye on, especially as Tottenham will win the cup anyway and ruin it.
We can dream. We can dream. Yeah, no, about Champions League there, I have been watching Bayern in the Club World Cup. It's on right behind me here. And they have been very sluggish. I'm not sure if it's just to do with the travel over to Qatar or whatever, but to be honest, if they're playing like that in Champions League, they're not going to be winning it this year. I actually am fancying PSG now. They have Mauricio Pochettino. I think that is going to be the edge that they need to get that Champions League.
That's really interesting because you look at the Spanish clubs. The Spanish clubs aren't playing particularly well at the moment. The British clubs, apart from Man City, are not playing particularly well at the moment. As you say, the Germans they're struggling as well. So yeah, maybe it's a year. I thought PSG might have won it last year. Personally, I thought they were with the weird situation that we had last year. I thought it might have been their year, and it turned out not to be. But yeah, no, absolutely with Pochettino there. Obviously, we know about Pochettino. He's taken us to Champions League finals, so he knows what it takes to get there. He doesn't know what it takes to win it yet, but maybe that'll come. And yeah, if he can pull all those prima donnas together, then yeah, maybe he can make it happen for him, certainly.
Yeah, he could have a wee story like Klopp went to the final with Dortmund and then had to move to Liverpool to win Champions League. Yeah. So Pochettino got to the final with Spurs and moves to PSG maybe to win it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him for absolute certain. Yeah.
Elsewhere, I suppose Bournemouth knocked Burnley out of the FA Cup and Man City beat Liverpool, so that kind of wraps up the league, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, as you say, the league's gone for most teams. I think Liverpool were completely outplayed on Sunday. There was obviously a problem with the goalie. I don't think he should have been on the pitch. You can't say that was 100%. Performance from a high quality keeper. There was obviously something wrong, I think. But even so, that's the team they picked. That's the team they played, and they got overrun there in that second half. Interesting, also, you look at the score and you go 4-1, and they missed a penalty as well. So it could have been even worse for them. So yeah, that was a bit of a. I know people had told us that that we're going to see this gap in the goals, and to bet on the -2 Man City win, and that would turn out to be a fantastic bet. There's people obviously a lot closer to these clubs than we are, but yeah, 100%. That was a fantastic shout. Other things that happened actually in the week, Exeter. As you might see, I've put my Torquay top on tonight for you. So from years gone by, because there's something I want to talk about Torquay in a second. But I'll just touch on Exeter City. Not a team I would normally talk about or have anything to do with. However, need to give them a little shout out. They were supposed to play Barrow on Tuesday night, and Barrow is in Cumbria, which is in the northwest of England. It's a 640-mile round trip for Exeter to go there and play. And Barrow did everything they could to get this game on. They pulled the start time forward. They had heaters on the pitch, had covers on the pitch, and the game got called off an hour before the game was due to start. So Exeter went all that way. An hour before the game, it got called off. To be fair to them, they kind of went, yeah, this happens. It's down to the weather. Because of the COVID situation, there were no fans travelling, which is obviously a good thing. So we didn't have fans travelling all that way. And somebody that lives in Plymouth and obviously supports Torquay. There are the three clubs down in Devon, Plymouth, Torquay, and Exeter, that have to make massive sort of journeys at the weekends and during midweek. And to go to Barrow on a Tuesday night to play a game that got called off, you got to feel for them a little bit. As it goes, on Saturday, they've now got to go to Oldham, which is a 480-mile round trip. So they're going to clock up over 1,000 miles of travel this week. Oldham are the second highest stadium in the country. Yeah. So if you did it on height, as in not the height of the stadium, but actually,
yeah,
they're the second highest from sea level in the UK, behind the Hawthorns, West Bromwich Albion. So chances are, given the weather over here at the moment, I don't know what the forecast is for Saturday, but if Oldham's pitch is anywhere near frozen, then chances are that game's going to get called off as well. So as it goes, you might want to say to yourselves, well, the Exeter boys have done a 640-mile round trip to Barrow. They've now got to do 240 to get to Oldham. You might fancy Oldham at 2-1, to be fair, to take the scalp there. I do have a friend of mine that does look at distances, and he looks at teams that travel a long way, and he believes they struggle when they travel long distances. So he would certainly be looking at potentially Oldham beating Exeter at the weekend. So yeah, a little shout out to Exeter. But yeah, I wanted to talk about Torquay for a second, because Torquay is obviously my local team, and they're in the National League, and they're actually top of the National League at the moment. I think they were 9 points clear of second place. They lost during the week, so it might be down to 8 points or 6 points or something at the moment. But the problem that they've got is that there's going to be a vote this month. And if anybody's placed any bets on the National League or the National League North or the National League South, you're probably, certainly with my bets, with Bet365, all my bets are suspended. And they're suspended because there's going to be a vote this month. In fact, there's going to be 2 votes. And they're voting whether to continue or not, because there's too many clubs that have run out of money, and they are really, really struggling. They've been given grants, but now they've been told they can't have any more grants. They've got to have loans, and loans need to be paid back, and they just can't afford to do it. And you've got Premiership clubs and what have you running around with all these mountains of money. And I don't want to get into the money side of it, but these clubs are struggling, and if they just had a little bit of money, they could carry on. So they're going to have a vote, and the first vote is going to be whether the National League, the North and the South, vote as one group, or whether they vote as individual leagues. If they vote as individual leagues, chances are the National League, which is Torquay's league, they'll continue, because they need 75% of the clubs to carry on, and I believe they'll get that, and they would carry on. If they all voted to vote as a block, so all 3 leagues would vote in one go, then chances are all 3 of those leagues will get void. They'll get null and void, and that'll be the end of it. So not to even consider my bets, but the fact that Torquay have put all this time and all this money into building this side to get them promoted this season, that's all going to go to waste. And the chances are next season, some of them players won't be there because they would have gone to other clubs because they've played well and they've been given better contracts to go elsewhere, quite rightly. If you look at these National League sides, teams play well, they get into the playoff structure, or they get into the promotion places. In fact, there's only one promotion place. If they end up in that playoff structure and they don't get promoted, the better players often end up into League Two anyway, which means the teams from which they came from will then struggle because they can't replace them with the same quality of player that they had before because they brought them through. So it's a never-ending cycle. So you only get a couple of chances to try and get promoted. So Torquay, they may have their season ruined. Equally, you got to think of the teams like Dover towards the bottom end of the table who have run out of money and they've gone, we got no money, we can't continue. What do you want us to do? So I can see both sides of it, but it is a worry and it is a concern that at the end of the month we might not have National League, National North, National South. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and make people aware if they do have bets on these leagues, then they're probably suspended at the moment pending this vote that's going to take place. My expectation will be the National League will continue and the other two leagues will shut down purely on money, which is a shame, but there you go. So yeah, I just wanted to get that across today, really.
Yeah, no, it's a real shame, that, isn't it? That's I suppose the foundation of English football right there. And for it not to be able to go ahead it's really disheartening to see, especially with the Premier League team spending millions and billions even on players and just whatever else. And, even to give a small donation, pocket money to them, would go so far to any of them teams then, though.
Well, all it actually takes is for each Premiership club to take on a non-league club, as in like a partnership. So it's not we'll just give you money, but what we'll do, we'll send players to you to play in your side. We'll form relationships between clubs. I think they do it. I think they do it in Spain, where you have these links between these different clubs, and then you have the Premiership club supporting the lower league club. The lower league club is then fielding their players into the League One and League Two, and it makes for a better football structure, all told. And I don't know why it's so difficult, and I don't know why they can't change. If there are rules, change the rules, make this happen, make people work together, and make it good for everybody. I just find it difficult to look at what's going on in the Premiership and then seeing my local club potentially not getting promoted because other clubs are struggling for money. But we'll see.
Do you think it's a degree of stubbornness from the higher clubs? Like, we're at the top, we're where we want to be, we don't care about the rest?
Possibly. It's possibly that, but it's also, it's an open market. It's an open market, and this is how it is. And to be honest with you, it would appear at the Premiership level that if they could form the league with their European best buddies, Bayern and Barca and co, then they would probably want to go and do that if the cards fell right for them, because they're more interested in this money train, and they are businesses, quite rightly. They're businesses. They want to make money and all the rest of it. I understand that they want to do what's right by their business, but at some point, people have got to realise that it's a game. It's a game of football, and there's thousands of people invested in this game, from supporters to people that support these smaller clubs, to the people that look after the bigger clubs and all the rest of it. We're all one thing. And what happens is the lower clubs get left to die, and then what happens is the clubs get reborn. You look at Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon. The fans restarted that club and brought them back again. You look at Chester; they've gone down again, but they were reformed. I think Bournemouth were in trouble when they got bought out by their fans. There's loads of examples. Stockport, another example. Stockport in Torquay's league. They're another example of a club that pretty much folded because they got done by money and then reformed and started up again. Plymouth was another example where the owners pulled all their money out and they went from the edge of the playoffs in the Championship to the bottom of League Two in 3 years, because they had the money ripped from under them, and they got docked points, and they got relegated, and they end up at the bottom of League Two. And Peter Reid, ex-Everton, England international, he came in as manager. He worked his socks off. he sold his medals, he did all sorts of things to keep the club running and get things back on a stable footing, and then they've been able to come back and grow again. But the common factor in all of this is money. It's always about money, and you cannot have a Premier League if you haven't got the lower leagues, because those lower leagues support and feed what goes on at the Premier League level, and without it, it's pointless. You know, I've got a lot of friends that support a lot of clubs that are lower league clubs, and they make the effort to go to these grounds, they make the effort to invest in supporting these things, and sometimes the bigger clubs that have more support outside the UK possibly than they get inside the UK now, because it's a worldwide thing. It's not an English thing anymore. Maybe they should focus a little bit more on what's going on. I'll get off my soapbox.
We'll move on quickly anyway. In the news, well, there's not really much in the news other than the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That was a blowout, really, wasn't it? It wasn't expected. Well, it wasn't not expected, but it was a bit of a shock too, wasn't it? Obviously, Tom Brady getting that 7th ring. He now has more Super Bowl wins than any club has, which is crazy, isn't it?
Isn't it good to have like a proper sports star that's like a proper legend? Yeah. And you can identify and go, there you are. There's the guy who's won more Super Bowls than any other team.
Oh, it's ridiculous as well, and it was a very good game. I don't know if you stayed up to watch it, but it was very enjoyable.
I heard about it, but yeah, you tell me all about it, because you obviously stayed up and watched it.
Yeah, I'd be an American football fan myself. I support the Colts, but obviously they didn't do too well. Well, they didn't do badly, but they got to the playoffs, but couldn't get any further than that. But I thoroughly enjoyed the final, I have to say.
So again, it's not a final I tend to watch. So given other years gone by, is it one that stands out above the rest? Despite if you take Brady out of it, if you just look at the game, was it a thrilling game compared to other years, or?
I think it was, to a point, because I think there was just so much happening in it that, it was just, you couldn't take your eyes off it, I suppose. That's probably the best way to describe it. I just find that, even come the fourth quarter, there was that sense that the Chiefs might get back into it, because obviously Patrick Mahomes is the Chiefs quarterback, and they said he had a foot injury and he was going for surgery on his foot after the game, but he still played through it. And in fairness to him, he played very well. And he apparently ran more than any other quarterback has ever ran in a Super Bowl final, which is ridiculous for someone carrying a foot injury that has to get surgery on straight after the game. But it's, for me, it was a standout one in recent years.
Excellent, it was good. And I don't suppose you have any idea what price you could have got for the Buccaneers at the start of the season.
I wouldn't have any idea on the price at the start of the season, but I can't imagine to be overly big because of the signings made with Gronkowski and Brady, two of the biggest stars in the NFL. Like, Gronkowski came out of retirement just to play this season, so that alone probably would have shortened the price an awful lot. But I do know the Kansas City Chiefs were a favourite. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, well played to the Buccaneers. One, for signing him, and two, for the way they've gone about their season and shown what you can achieve. If you've got the right mindset and you've got the right people around you. So yeah, fantastic. The other thing that happened this week, it's more an English thing than an Irish thing. We play cricket over here. And we're in India. England are in India at the moment, playing India in a 4-match test series, and England won the first test in India. We don't win in India. The pitches are not right for us. We saw one of the best overs from Jimmy Anderson in the second innings that you're ever going to see, and again we saw a massive double hundred from Joe Root. I think that's his. He scored 200. He scored a double hundred, then 100, then another double hundred. So he's obviously banging form at the moment. And yeah, it's just great to see England. I think that's our 6th away win in a row or something stupid at the moment. So yeah, so well played to England, and good luck in the second test. Come on, England.
With a bit of luck, they'll win for you. I wouldn't be a big cricket fan myself, but I did see, I think I've seen, was it India beat Australia in Australia
That's
last
it.
time
Yeah,
or something?
absolutely. Yeah. So India went to Australia, beat the Aussies in their backyard. I think England went to Sri Lanka, beat Sri Lanka. But I think the expectation of a lot of England fans, obviously fans I know, were kind of expecting India to sort of take control and beat England. And they may still do that over 4 games. India tend to be a team that fight back quite well. They kind of they get hurt, and then they come out fighting and take you on a bit. We batted really well and we bowled really well in the first innings, and I think that kind of set us up quite well. I think we've got quite a good side at the moment. Whether we can win the series, I don't know, but it was just a fantastic achievement to actually win another test out there in India. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, I would have been lucky too. Martin, we move on to the final segment. The 1 to 100. Obviously, my double last week, the Spurs and City 1-1. So I'm going into this week with 286, and I'm going to put my 286 on another double, Man United and Everton this week. That's at 29 to 20. So if that comes up, I'll have 706 for the following week.
Fantastic. I'm gonna have a punt on my team from last week. So I'm going to take Tranmere to beat Grimsby at 11 to 10, and I'm going to double that with Cambridge to beat Southend. Cambridge are top, Southend are second bottom. They'll be a short price. They'll be 13 to 20, something like that at the moment, Cambridge. But they are top of the league. Southend are second bottom, and my friend David has recommended me that Cambridge are gonna do the business, having lost in the week. They're going to bounce back to form. Again, Tranmere lost as well in the week as well. So I'm looking for 2 teams to come back to form and give me a nice little double and get me off that one.
It's hard to get off that one, but when you get off it, you start getting going on a bit of a roll. So yeah, that wraps up this week. That's an excellent chat there, Martin. Be sure to subscribe and like the video for more.